Oh shit, wait a minute. Jayson trying to get fly on us. He trying to flex. New jacket. Sleeves rolled up. My sleeves, first of all, my sleeves is not rolled up. Second of all, I didn't wear a hat yesterday neither. Was just telling Jayson on time. It was just telling Elijah, I hope you hopping on. Everyone put the woman. Hey man, this is one of my favorite articles of clothing, man. I love coats. This is one of my favorite ones. This is an old 1970s Letterman jacket from like a high school. So find some good shit online, man. You can find some good shit online. Let me know if y'all ever need a tip on how to find like some good thrifted items or whatnot, because I'm pretty good at that stuff too. But it's cold right now. It's a little bit cold right now. That's why I got this shit on. But welcome in, man. Welcome in. Welcome to another episode of the Jayson Estrera podcast, where we talk about basketball as accurate as possible. Man, we got some big fucking news, man. We got some big news, y'all. How's everybody doing, man? Y'all ready for this weekend? Y'all ready for the weekend, man? How's everybody doing, man? Got that job from MJ himself. I wish. I wish, man. I wish. It's funny because I got some sneakers behind me too. You can't really see it, but you know, I got my shit out. I just got my shit out, you know. But how y'all doing, man? Everybody's doing good. Everybody's doing good. Man, you know how I typically, when we do the show, I typically try to like push back some of these topics. I'll typically try to push back some of the topics just to, you know, just to keep it interesting. But I truthfully, I got a lot to say when it comes to this Trae Young situation. And so we're going to get right into it. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. This was a couple days ago, actually. They waived him. But I seen somewhere that they might sign him on a 10-day contract. I don't know how true that is. We'll see what happens. The NBA is in a very, there's a lot going on. Trade to Washington makes more sense than people are realizing. The guy who drafted him is now the GM of Washington, and he clearly has a project in mind and wants to center around Trae. Makes sense. So, I mean, honestly, we'll just cut to the chase, man. We'll cut to the chase. This guy Trae Young is a Washington Wizard. They got him in the Wizards threads quick. That was quick. I don't know about y'all, but that was quick, man. That was a quick ass turnaround. And let's start with winners and losers. How about that? Let's start with winners and losers. And let's pull up the actual trade itself while we're at it. Let's see. What am I doing? Here it is. So, we could read this together, man. I don't know. Trae could just leave too. We got a lot, man. We got a lot to talk about. So, breaking news. This was from Shams on the 7th. The Atlanta Hawks are trading 4-time NBA All-Star Trae Young to the Washington Wizards for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. Sources tell ESPN. Young is also reunited with Wizards executive Travis Schlenk, who drafted him number 5 overall in 2018 in Atlanta. Like Eli said, the trade ends Young's stint as the face of the Hawks and sends the 27-year-old to his preferred destination in the nation's capital. Top Wizards officials Michael Winger and Will Dawkins have searched to anchor their young talent in the next step of the team's development. Moving Young also provides Atlanta with added financial flexibility to pursue a large salary over the next several months, with Dallas Mavericks star Anthony Davis as a prime in-season trade target, which is a whole nother thing that we got to get into, right? The Hawks are poised to turn the page on a new era with the emergence of Jalen Johnson and others, bringing a much more fluid style of play around their wings and depth. McCollum serves as a valuable plug-and-play veteran while holding a $30.6 million expiring deal. Let's take a look at this.
Next step, and Wizards officials believe that.
To our Shams Charania. Shams, I want to start here. Can you just give us some details on how this deal came together to send Trae Young to the Washington Wizards?
Malika, Trae Young wanted to be a Washington Wizard. He believes he can be a young anchor of this Washington Wizards rebuild. This has clearly been a team that's been drafting high. They're trying to figure out how to take the next step, and Wizards officials believe that Trae Young is that next step in their vision long term, and they want to build with Trae Young. And this is a team that's filled with young players, talented young players. They're gonna have $46 million in cap space, and so Trae Young being that piece, and then CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert end up in Atlanta. But how does this end with Trae Young and his era over with the Hawks? And it's because it started in the offseason when the Hawks decided not to offer a contract extension to Trae Young. He has this season and next year $49 million player option. They decided not to give him a contract extension offer, and now Trae Young is going to make his case for a long-term future with the Wizards.
Yeah,
there's a lot to unpack here. Bruce, what's good, Bruce? Glad that Young's gonna have a vacation early. Funny that Young and Doncic traded for each other, were also traded years later. Wiz gonna still suck, and he is going to ask for a trade again. All right, so we have a lot to unpack here. We'll start with this. Who has better hair, Shams or Jayson? I'll give that to Shams, bro. I'll give that to my boy. We give that to Shams. I ain't competing with him. But I appreciate the love. That's love. Now, the biggest thing for me here, right? No draft picks. No draft picks are going to the Atlanta Hawks. I think that's probably the most surprising thing. Typically, when all-stars, a guy that's 25-9 at 27 years old, typically when these guys get traded, there's at least one draft asset that is a part of the trade, right? To make up for the upside that you could potentially get with Trae Young on a new team in a new environment. And oftentimes that's the way it goes. But I tried looking. Listen, I tried looking. There are no draft picks attached to this trade, which is number one. And to me, that's what makes this a win for the Washington Wizards. Jason Low Diff, I'm dead. So that's number one, right? That's number one. I can't believe that they didn't ask for a draft pick, or they accepted it without one, right? I'm sure they asked for one, but the deal happened and there is no draft pick attached to it, right? So that's the first and foremost. On one hand, for the Washington Wizards, I think this raises their ceiling, right? Trae Young is a really good player in the NBA. He's shown that he can carry a team on a deep playoff run damn near by himself, right? We could talk about defensive liabilities. We could talk about X, Y, and Z, but we've seen it before. And what the Atlanta Hawks are getting in return for him are two players, right? One in Kispert, who's gonna be a team-friendly contract, and then you have an expiring contract from a guy who could also get buckets in CJ McCollum, right? So there's going to be less drama because CJ just doesn't talk trash, and he's not as much of a polarizing personality the way Trae Young can be at times. Aside from the fact that now you are essentially splitting up Trae Young's big contract between two people, which gives them flexibility moving forward. But I gotta admit, when I was thinking about this and when I was going through the history of the Atlanta Hawks, essentially, this is not an outlier for the Atlanta Hawks. This is a pattern. I said a couple days ago, I find it very odd that you have a guy in Trae Young who's been the number one option, the point of attack on offense for the Atlanta Hawks. And he finally has a real legitimate number two in Jalen Johnson. And instead of building a team around the both of them, they opt to trade Trae Young, and they're talking about getting a potential star that they could go add along with Jalen Johnson in their young core. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, this is, again, this is a pattern for the Atlanta Hawks. They've been doing this since 2005. They did it through the Joe Johnson era. They did it through the Al Horford, Paul Millsap era. and now Trae Young, where they have these guys that are very talented, very good basketball players, right? And these players are able to give this team enough to be mid-pack and potentially compete, for a top 4 seed. And just when you think that they're a player or two away, just when you think they're a player or two away from maybe taking a step into actual contention, they traded Joe Johnson and they let Paul Millsap and Al Horford go. And they are doing the same thing with Trae Young. I gotta admit, I truly believe that this organization, their goal isn't to win a championship. It's to just not be the worst team in the league. And this is something that even Jeff Teague has talked about before, that ownership group essentially just cares about their money. That all they're really after is to be good enough to put people in seats, good enough to compete. But once they have to do the hard part and get into luxury tax and make some of these really difficult decisions in order to actually make a competitive roster, they opt to save money. And again, this isn't a one-off thing. This has become a pattern with this organization over the last 25 years, 25 years. And I think this is just another example of that. It falls right in line with their MO. And I got a feel for Trae Young in the sense of he was the face here, he was the face there, and he finally got a little bit of help. And right when that happens, they just pull the rug out from under him. So Patrick Beverley was right about Trae Young. Patrick Beverley's dumb as hell. Ignore that guy. Melo, Russ, and Braun on the team with me. Just let that guy talk. The sentence Pat Bev was right is never an accurate statement. LMFAO. What did he say, Bruce? What did he say? Oh, that little beef that they had going back and forth. Listen, man, I think Trae Young is a very good basketball player. And, this... And I'll be honest, there's this, we all watch basketball, right? How many times have you guys heard, you got to be unselfish, right? You got to make your teammates better. How many times have you guys heard that, right? How many times have y'all heard that on ESPN, on whatever talk show, whatever show you could think of? How many times have you heard those statements? Well, I truly believe that the narrative for a lot of players gets switched after they win a title, right? That's something that they retroactively change after guys win titles. You are selfish until they deem you unselfish. Because a champion can't be selfish, right? That would just be the wrong message to send. And you have this guy in Trae Young who's been a really great floor general. He could score the basketball. I really think that he's changed his game to be the player that he is today. And again, instead of pairing him with the young core that's in Atlanta, getting some really good defensive players like Sabonis is ready to get out of Sacramento. Right? Instead of pairing Trae Young with a actual roster, they just opt to trade him. And on the Washington Wizards side, I don't know if they actually have a plan, because if we've seen anything from the Washington Wizards, the last thing that they're going to have is a plan. Everything that they do seems very random. Their jerseys look random. Everything that they do, it looks weird to me. And so, are they going to build a team around Trae Young? I mean, it would be nice to think so, but I also really doubt it because they have not been competitive in a very, very long time. So I think all this is Washington now has a player that they can market and sell, right? They haven't had that in, I'm trying to think, they haven't had that in a while, right? Maybe since John Wall and Bradley Beal, and then before those guys it was Gilbert Arenas, and now they get another point guard that they can market to the nation's capital and try to capitalize on that. While Atlanta's over here trying to save a couple dollars. For what reason? I don't know. For what reason? I have no idea. But I will say, if you are Jalen Johnson, again, this is a pattern. This is not an outlier. This is not a one-off thing. This is a pattern. And if Jalen Johnson ends up developing into a very good basketball, into a very good NBA player, I would think that they're going to do the same thing with him. That they are going to milk him for cash that they can monetize and make money off of until the team gets a little too good. And so I would caution Jalen Johnson to be mindful. And again, there are certain organizations you need to run away from. And I think the Atlanta Hawks might be on that list. Their recent games against the Raptors, they had an oblivious Trae-sized hole. Both players they got will help, but I don't know if that makes them better. And it's like you said, maybe they aren't trying to win. Elijah, they haven't tried to win. Like, let's just call it what it is. You know, they had a number 1 seed with a bunch of I just think people are. What do you mean by that, Elijah? What do you mean by that? You know, I was thinking about it. You know, Jeff Teague talks all the time about that year they were number 1 and then lost to Cleveland in the playoffs, right? Yeah, it was Jeff Teague, Al Horford, Paul Millsap, Kyle Korver. You know, it was that team. And you would think if you are able to get the number 1 seed and you don't have a top 10 player, that if you were to add a top 10 player to that roster, that you guys would be able to get over the hump and really contend for a championship. But that just wasn't the case. That's not at all what they did, right? And so again, I think this is more a case of a pattern rather than a one-off thing. Jalen not finna be a superstar. I mean, but does he have to be? I think if we're to follow their trend, they get these very good, very solid players, and their goal is to stay mid-pack. I truly believe that their goal is to stay anywhere from the 3rd to the 7th seed. Like that really feels like their goal as an organization. And they're not going to go above that. We've seen numerous times Mark Cuban has talked about he damn near never made, I don't know if he never made money or he barely made money. I think the actual quote is that he never made a profit as the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. And that's the sign of a guy that's really trying to win. Right? Had Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, built different teams around Dirk. They actually ended up winning with Dirk. And it's just a completely different feel from a team like the Atlanta Hawks. I agree. Not all organizations are serious about committing to the resources it takes to win a championship. Yeah, you banking on it now. If they want to stay where they are at, maybe, but it's still going to be hard. And here's the other thing that I think is very interesting, right? I think the Atlanta Hawks are giving themselves the option, because to your point, Elijah, if Jalen Johnson is not a star in this league, they now have the financial flexibility to go and grab a star. May not be the best player, but they now have an opportunity to go and get a star that can hopefully keep them afloat. And I think that's what this is. And that brings me to this next part, because as Sham said, oh, hold on. Excuse me. As Sham said, this team has given themselves some some financial flexibility, and are essentially trying to sign another player maybe in this season. And
absolute brutal news.
That player is, or was, I think was would probably be the operative word now, was Anthony Davis. They will be getting a star. More than likely, they're going to get a star. I think their goal, this was the plan, but now it kind of got fucked.
Anthony Davis and the Dallas Mavericks, he has sustained ligament damage in his left hand versus the Utah Jazz, and depending on a second opinion and if surgery is required, AD could miss a number of months. Now, if surgery isn't required, Anthony Davis is expected to miss at least 6 weeks. That's per Shams Charania. Now, the reports are that he's expected to be traded as well, or the Dallas Mavericks were seeking to trade him. Even Anthony Davis's camp came out and said that he wants to be traded somewhere that will give him a max contract extension. So has Anthony Davis played his last game with the Dallas Mavericks? Do they trade him? Does anyone try to trade for him now that with his...
Absolutely crazy that the night after Trae Young gets traded and the Atlanta Hawks are trying to set up the potential of, pairing Anthony Davis with Dyson Daniels and obviously Jalen Johnson, who we've been talking about, that now gets put on hold with this Anthony Davis injury. And I gotta say this, right? Because there's a lot of people that AD is the biggest pump faker. He could be, but this is my thing too, Elijah, and everybody, right? Everyone can't be LeBron, right? Everyone is not gonna be fortunate enough to pretty much go an entire career without any major injuries. And you go from that end of the spectrum to a Derrick Rose who tore both ACLs, and players start falling in between, right? Some players are just injury prone. Some players aren't. Some players are tanks. Other players are glass cannons. And I think Anthony Davis, for as good as he is as a basketball player, unfortunately is a glass cannon. And this comes along the string of the list of other injuries that he's had over the years, whether it's knick-knack injuries that kind of just bother him every now and then periodically, or some bigger injuries like the ligament in his left hand that could potentially require surgery. I think this is just his path. I think this is just, sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, man. And it's one of those things, if his body were to let him, he'd probably be way higher on all-time lists, but that's just not how it works sometimes. And now I wonder what's going to happen with Anthony Davis, because the way I was thinking about this I'm watching them play, and I really do hate the way that it looks. It's slow. It's half court. It doesn't maximize, at least in my opinion, it doesn't maximize Cooper Flag, who's their future. And with videos of Kyrie Irving starting to ramp up, trying to get back into this season, the idea of Cooper Flag with Kyrie Irving, I start to really like the potential of that. And obviously you would love to have an Anthony Davis if he were healthy, but I think the style of play that they want to or could play, getting up and down the floor faster, you have a dynamic guard in Kyrie Irving. You have a dynamic wing in Cooper Flag. If they could have gotten a younger talent with athleticism to kind of pair with those guys, I think they could have really had something. But now this really throws a monkey wrench into their plans, and I'm really curious. I'm really curious as to how they're gonna approach this situation, man. I really, really am. Always leave with big injury, but plays next game to clock another injury. Our friend's dad is his trainer. He was on the Lakers with him. That's crazy. You got some insight? We should get him on the phone. Nah, that's some Fed shit, though. I agree, Jay. He's in his 30s and has always had injury problems. It's only going to get worse, if anything. And now it sounds like he might be bouncing around teams. Retirement might be soon. Yeah, it's getting to the point where he's playing for a check. Right? And if you're Anthony Davis, like realistically looking at it from Anthony Davis's perspective, you know, he could Damian Lillard the situation in the sense of just go get a bag where you want to be, in a place where you want to live, in a place where you're comfortable. He already has a ring. No one can say that he wasn't a big part of that ring. So he already got his. At this point out, if I'm him, I'm just going to collect the check as long as I possibly can. Because he's not going to move up and down or up or down those rankings. If he were to join a team and win a ring, let's say next season, that ring, the weight of that ring isn't going to be enough to move him up and down any rankings. So realistically, at this point, just go get yourself a bag and just keep it pushing. But really, I am interested in the players that the Dallas Mavericks were looking to get. That's really where my head is at. I'm really curious as to what type of team this Dallas Mavericks team is trying to build, right? And the more that I picture it, this team needs to be getting up and down the floor, turn defense to offense, play with size, play with pace. You know, if you have a Kyrie Irving, he's a non-traditional point guard. Cooper Flag can play anywhere from the 2, 3, maybe the 4 at times. And so that gives them a lot of versatility. And depending on the player that they were looking to get for Anthony Davis, I think that could really dictate the type of team that, you know, the style of play that they're going to have moving forward. But now I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to be stuck with Anthony Davis? Are they going to trade him? Because as we've seen, right, they didn't even get a draft pick out of Trae Young. Hell, it felt like, I told you guys yesterday, it felt like the anonymous quotes from those GMs talking about LaMelo Ball, talking about John Morant, talking about Trae Young. It felt like those quotes came from their own GMs. Right? And it's this weird thing, because why wouldn't you talk up your players so they can have value and trade them? But now it almost feels like they're just trying to get a bag of chips for their guys in order to save money or whatever other reason they might have. So if they can trade Anthony Davis, I feel like they can. I feel like they would if they can. But we'll see if that's possible. If you're Dallas, just embrace going young and build for the future, man. Trade AD, trade Kyrie, and get some good young pieces to build a great core. I'm gonna ask our friend, see if he can send Lively to Toronto 1 week. What's good, RC? How you just put me on the whole spectrum? Jay, your hairstyle got you on here looking like pop, R&B, Afro beats, Latin singer. Wait, why is everybody tripping on me not wearing a hat today? I didn't wear a hat yesterday. Oh, what's good, man? What's good? Jason Iglesias, let me stop. Hey, man. Enrique Iglesias was that guy. Did I have a bag over my head yesterday that I didn't notice? Shit. Oh, man. What would y'all do, man? What would y'all do? If I'm Dallas, I'm still trying to figure out a way to trade Anthony Davis, man. Make some Iglesias sound. What does that even mean, dog? What does that even mean? What does that even mean, man? So we got, you know, we got some really, some very, we got some movement going on in the NBA, man. Trade to Washington is nasty work, and I wasn't here yesterday. Oh, I mean, not Wednesday. Not yesterday. Sorry, guys. Wednesday. Wednesday. But trade to Washington is nasty work. Why do you say that, RC? Why do you say that? Why do you say that? I do think if I'm Trae Young, I would also try to get out of Washington. You know, if it's a player contract that he has, right? I want to double check. Oh, it's a player. It's not a player contract. It's a player option that he has on his. I think it's a player option that he has. Let's take a look at this. Let's see. Yeah, 2026, 2027 is a player option for Trae Young. So this summer it could get very weird. It could get very weird. It could get very weird. What did Eli say? Flag is the future. There's no reason to panic and think that you are super far off. Even if you do move guys like AD, going young and building out the roster is their ticket to long-term success. I 100% agree, Eli. But this is a different ownership group in Dallas. This is no longer Mark Cuban. I'm sure if Mark Cuban was still running things over there, making decisions over there, that their approach to this situation would be totally different. It would be totally different, their approach to this situation. But as we've seen with the Atlanta Hawks, right, some ownership groups have a different goal. In a perfect world, all 32 teams are trying their best, putting their best foot forward, and really trying to win a championship. But that's just not reality, unfortunately. Trae Young most likely isn't going to do anything in Washington but get the ultimate green light and waste away his basketball youth. I was just going to ask you, how much longer is his contract? Trae Young is washed. He's also had a number of injuries. I mean, I will say, I don't know, maybe it's just PTSD. I've seen this guy. I've seen how good this guy can be. My New York Knicks saw firsthand how good this guy can be. And so 27 years old, I would 100% agree with you guys if he was an Anthony Davis situation. If he were like 32, 33 years old, I'm like, all right. More than likely, especially at his size, you know, the smaller guards in the league, realistically, for the most part, their value really diminishes over time compared to wings and guards that have size, right? So, you know, for at least the next 3 years or so, that's probably a good window for Trae Young to still be a dominant player. But after that, it starts to really go downhill. Y'all tell me that one team out there that would want to take a flyer chance on tainted goods. AD is getting older. He's not getting he's not going to get healthier. Well, tell us how you really feel, Adam Silver. I know Adam Silver be in here going crazy. But I agree. I agree, RC. If you are the Dallas Mavericks, you have Ryan Nembhard. I think Najee Marshall could at times show flashes of being solid. Yeah, Christie. You just try to move on from these older guys. Have Kyrie still be there as the leader. Get another veteran that could kind of sit on the bench and teach these guys, but really go younger, go athletic. And, you know, when they decide to move Kyrie is when they really got to think about what type of guard that they want to have. But I do think that this gives them time to see how Cooper Flag develops in the NBA so that they could better have an idea of what guard to pair with him. So we'll see what happens. I like Sarr. I think he will develop well, and I completely disagree that Trae is washed. Draft well, make free agency move, and you are fine. Only problem is we haven't really seen Washington be for real. Yeah, I mean, we are talking about the Washington Wizards. Draft well, make a free agency move, and you are fine. Yeah, that sentence, it sounds really easy. But we are talking about the Washington Wizards. Sam Presti not going to suit up over there. They don't got Sam Presti over there. So do I trust that they're going to do the right thing? No. So this really comes down to how Trae Young is going to perform, or if he wants to opt out of that contract this, for next season. So we'll see. Did you hear about Trae's 2 original trade destination? Was there what were the other teams? What was the other teams, RC? Because in my opinion, if you were looking for a long-term extension, it would have been to like the Sacramento Kings. Oh, I did hear Brooklyn. I did hear Brooklyn. I think that could have been kind of cool. Just for excitement wise. Trae Young with Michael Porter Jr. There's one thing those guys will not have a problem with. It's gonna be scoring. Excuse me. So, but there's no mutual interest. I will say though, because I just thought about this. Let me look this up before I speak. Let's look this up before I say anything. Ooh. Yeah, well, I don't think this is the case. The thought that I had is the Atlanta Hawks are looking for financial flexibility to potentially land the star, right? And like I said, they like having players they can market and that are good enough to compete and make a profit. But it seems like when the time comes and the team actually becomes competitive and they have to dip into the pockets, right, and pay the luxury tax to get better players and really fill out the roster, they abort and they opt to save money instead, right? And so the thought that I had with them creating some financial financial room for them, right, is what if they were looking to get Anthony Edwards to bring him back home to Atlanta? Talk about someone that can help you guys compete. Talk of marketability out the wazoo. But if they don't surround him with the right pieces, they could kind of milk the cash for that and do what they've been doing over the last 25 years. But as I'm looking at it, Anthony Edwards is signed until through the 2028-2029 season. He is not a unrestricted free. He'll be an unrestricted free agent for the 2030. Sorry, what am I saying? Which he'll be 28 years old. Yo, ain't that the truth? Brooklyn is so backwards. Can't be a good veteran team. Can't be a good young up and coming team. Yeah, no, they. I remember when they got Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. I was like, what the fuck are these guys doing? It's like, yeah, you got two old heads just being old. But yeah, this I'm very curious as to what moves can be made moving forward. But there is some more news. There is some more. We got some more trade talks, man. And this one's coming out of Memphis. So Shams had reported, this was earlier today, right? Shams had reported just in for the first time, the Memphis Grizzlies are entertaining offers to potentially move two-time All-Star Ja Morant ahead of the February 5 NBA trade deadline. Multiple teams are pursuing Morant in trade talks, and rival executives believe the Grizzlies would prioritize draft picks and young players in return, sources said. Morant, who's 26, is under contract with the Grizzlies through the 2027-2028 season. Shams continues by saying Memphis is considering multiple paths forward amid the emergence of several promising young players, including building around them and 2023 Defensive Player of the Year Jaren Jackson Jr. The Grizzlies also remain open to continue on with Morant as a focal part of their retool. Again, this is another example of a team that is not serious about winning a championship. I don't know if you guys saw, Desmond Bane was hyped that there were windows in the training facility. Have you guys ever seen that? He was hyped that there were windows in the training facility. Just to give you an insight into how much or how little the Memphis Grizzlies invest in their own team, right? Let's see. As a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, I really like we use young stars to sell tickets and then get rid of them when they start to get a little bit older. Then they go somewhere else and win. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, Yeah, that's crazy. Not to get Elijah started, but I don't think Toronto would actually be a good fit for Ja. I don't think so either. Ja to the Clippers. Nah, I'm capping. Clippers ain't got no trade assets, and Ja in LA just sounds disastrous. Is it this? Let's see.
But the one in Memphis, we ain't have not one win.
Here. Just so you guys get an idea of how little the Memphis Grizzlies invest in their own team and in their own players.
It's different, bro. The one in Memphis, we ain't have not one window. You know, so it's yeah, like we joked around and called it the dungeon.
Like you have 15 millionaires on the team, and their practice gym don't got a window. You just don't get.
No, but this is. It's a breath of fresh air. I mean, you can step outside and get a breath of fresh air and eat on the patio. I mean, there's indoor, outdoor training facility. You know, all the bells and whistles are in here, and it's great. But I feel like the people is really what's going to make this place special.
Again, some teams just aren't really trying to win. And it starts with things like your practice facility that your players train in. It's 2026, man. Like, y'all are a multi-million-dollar organization. What are we doing? Memphis, do they even like their basketball franchise? They probably prefer the Tennessee Titans. I mean, hey, man, listen, I know there's a lot of misconceptions about a lot of places, but I think they're more concerned about other things in Memphis, man. The crime, is it murder? Is it the crime per capita over there? Absurd. Absurd. It's absurd. That's it. Move their ass back to Vancouver. Ja definitely needs to leave. They burnt the bridge and traded away everyone. Well, that's the part, right? They did, right? They traded, probably outside of Ja Morant, the most important player for them, and I've been hyping him up. I dropped a short earlier from a clip from Wednesday's show. If you guys want to go check that out, or not from Wednesday's show, from like a month ago, sorry, about Dylan Brooks, and got rid of him, brought in one of the best European coaches in Tuomas Lisalo. Does the hair work when I do that? Yo, Elijah, does the hair work when I do Tuomas Lisalo? But they brought him in, and y'all know I was gassing him up, but I hate the way he approached this situation. Right? If you're going to be a hard ass as a coach, stand on it. If you're going to implement certain things, stand on it. And listen, man, I totally get, there's jobs that you want to keep, but at the same time, he really struck me as someone that wants to be great and wants his team to be great. And I was disappointed in the fact that they had a clash. He sat Ja Morant. I don't think that's the right approach. And it's very obvious that he doesn't have a handle on that team. And I don't know if he can't handle the fact that Ja Morant probably doesn't respect him or whatever the case might be. But you add all of those things together, plus the Ja Morant getting into trouble. And I got to always add this part, the injuries. Ja's had a lot of injuries in the last 2 years or so, 3 years or so. So that also doesn't help. But I do think a change of scenery would be very good. Ja definitely needs to lead. 10 people in chat. Can we get 5 big booms? What does that mean? I haven't watched Memphis too closely This is the Zebo Margasol Rudy game. Mike Conley teams disbanded. Jay tells us, where's the best place for Ja to go and reignite his career? See, any team he goes to, right, you're going to want to have shooters. The reason I don't think he fits in Toronto is because he complained about the offense in Memphis already. And the Toronto Raptors have found a way to have multiple playmakers on the floor at the same time, be able to make plays. And John Morant wants to play high pick and roll basketball. He wants to be the point of attack. He wants to get downhill. And let's call it what it is. His jump shot has not developed to where it needs to be. So, what teams need a point guard, right? If you're looking at probably, in my opinion, one of the easier swaps is probably a Miami Heat. Because one, I don't think Spo is going for that. I think Spo would handle that situation differently. Number two, it's probably going to be a swap for Tyler Hero. You have a Norman Powell there. Maybe something in John Morant can get, and we talked about Bam the other day as well too, but maybe something in there can kind of ignite something in Bam Adebayo, or that opens it up to be able to move him. That's the first team that really comes to mind. I couldn't imagine he would want to go to Sacramento. I think they have pieces that they could potentially move for him, but in terms of where he would want to be successful, I don't think that's it. And then I feel like most other teams have a point guard. Like, for lack of a term, like most other teams have a point guard. It seems to me he wants to be the face of a team. So for someone who, in my opinion, doesn't have a lot of leverage because he's not playing at the super, super high, damn near MVP level that he was playing at like 3 years ago, because of all because of the gun stuff, I feel like he has so many things that he needs to check off on his list that it makes it hard for a team to take him. Like, you got to gauge what you're getting. Again, you got a player who's had some issues, right? Doesn't shoot the basketball very well. Was complaining about the offense when the coach wanted to implement more movement. Like, those three things don't go well for you as a player. And so I think they're probably going to get really lowballed for him. I think Orlando would be a terrible fit. I'm just thinking about it right now. Yeah, I mean, maybe Brooklyn. Maybe a Brooklyn. Maybe he could pair himself next to Michael Porter Jr. and they could just go all offense, just running up and down the floor. But I feel like it's going to be tough. I mean, they could try to swap him for Cam Thomas. I don't know, though. I don't know. Let's see. After Trae went to Washington, I feel like Ja gonna end up somewhere like Utah. LMAO. The funny thing is, I feel like if you're Utah, for example, I don't know if you've watched Utah at all, RC, but Keontae George has been balling. Like, balling. Averaged like 25, 26 over the month of December. Was getting 30 pieces right next to Lauri Markkanen getting 40s. Like, they got something with Keontae George. Ace Bailey has shown some flashes, and then, there's some rumors that they might end up with the #1 draft pick and end up getting AJ DeBansta. So if you are Utah and that's sort of the plan, I don't know if you'd want to inherit a Ja Morant. I see what you said there. Why don't the Bulls trade for Ja? They got some assets. Bulls ain't got no star power. Might as well. I like that. However, I did see earlier that the Minnesota Timberwolves, I believe. Let me double check this. Yeah, so the Timberwolves are in talks to try to get Kobe White out of Chicago. And if that's the case, I couldn't imagine them also getting Ja Morant, because I mean, what are you gonna have, Kobe White come off the bench, or you're gonna play all three of them and slide Anthony Edwards to the three? That don't make sense to me. It would have to be one or the other. I do think Kobe White is a solid player. He's just dealing with some injuries, but again, I think Ja Morant's inability to shoot the three ball is pretty tough right now. It makes it hard to move him. They also have I get that they don't have star power, but hey man, Josh Giddey is really solid. Is a really solid basketball player. So that would probably mess up what Josh Giddey's got going on if you put a Ja Morant next to him. I'm trying to think of what other teams. Yeah, let's look at the standings. How about that? Yeah, that's probably the best thing. All right, let's look at this together, y'all. Let me pull this up. Detroit don't need him. New York don't need him. Boston don't need him. Toronto don't need him. Philly don't need him. I don't think he fits Orlando. Maybe Miami. Cleveland right now don't need him unless a Darius Garland swap for some reason. Maybe Atlanta. Maybe, but what would they try to get for him? Like, I don't know what they would be able to give up. Chicago, I think, is not a bad shout. I don't think he fits Milwaukee. Charlotte don't make sense. I kind of like him in Brooklyn, I'm not gonna lie. Washington, obviously they just got Trae Young. Indiana has Halliburton. Don't need him. Minnesota it's an interesting one. Toronto needs bro. We are good. We need a jump. Minnesota is an interesting one, right? Because that's a Jago and Pacers to be a Halliburton backup. Listen, and in no way am I saying that TJ McConnell is a better player than Ja Morant. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I love what TJ McConnell does off the bench for that team. The way he can kind of come in, be a pest on defense. He can get downhill, shoot middies. I don't like that at all. I get the high pick and roll and Darko style clash, but when we drafted CMB, we said get talent in and figure it out. I mean, that is one way to look at it. LA don't need him. Houston. See, I don't like the Houston situation because even though he could slot in and play point guard, right? If they can somehow keep Amen Thompson in this situation, now you have two non-shooters on the floor. And if they are able to, and if they, let's say, trade Amen Thompson, now what? You lose the defensive player that you have that was guarding the best wings. But who knows? Phoenix, in my opinion, doesn't need him. Golden State don't need him. Portland, I don't think they need him. He's on Memphis. Dallas don't need him. The Clippers, I mean, are they going to trade James? I don't know. Utah, in my opinion, doesn't need him. Sacramento or New Orleans. I'm not gonna lie. None of the cities, right? Cities, if we're talking New Orleans, Sacramento, None of these cities sound good. LA maybe, but you'd be for the you're the side chick of the city, right? You're the side chick of the city. I think the Chicago shout is nice. I think Miami could work potentially. But yeah, man, we could have some very, very interesting trades going on. Hold on. Where is this? Let's see, where is this? And, you know, I think this just leaves one more player to kind of complete this trio. And, excuse me, he had a big game last night. It was last night, right? He had a big game last night. They almost won the game. Came off the bench for the first time. If we see something about LaMelo Ball this weekend, it will complete the trio of LaMelo Ball, Ja Morant, and Trae Young. After the anonymous GMs had said that, you know, these guys are that LaMelo is unserious. People are questioning if Ja Morant is past his prime, and you know that Trae Young is a defensive liability. After that article that came out, this would complete the trinity, the trio, if LaMelo Ball is all of a sudden in trade conversations. So I wonder if his name will pop up really soon. I think he's a very unique situation, I think. Because unlike the other two, he's a player that has size. I know his defense isn't very good, but I think a team is going to be a lot more likely to take a chance on LaMelo Ball because of his size, but also a lot of injuries over the years. A big question mark if he is someone that one of these teams think about getting. Jamal Shed, 6th man of the year. Do you think Ja could put any contender over the top? I mean, unfortunately, Elijah, pretty much all the contenders, if you are one, have a point guard. Like the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Knicks, the Pistons, who else? The only one would probably be like the Houston Rockets. But again, I would seriously, me personally, I would have some serious, I would seriously question and consider that. Because again, I've said it before, we've seen Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook before. We've seen that already. We saw how that worked out. We saw exactly how that played itself out. And, you know, I think Ja gave a lot of respect to Kevin Durant. So maybe it's something a little bit different as opposed to Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook really being peers at the time, and Russell Westbrook looking him eye to eye and saying, I'm better than you probably. So maybe that dynamic is different, because I don't know if you guys remember when Ja gave Kevin Durant the ball, and was calling him an OG and whatnot. So maybe Houston, but every other team, I think, pretty much got a point guard. Maybe Ja can help the Suns move up the ladder. I feel like they could keep moving. They could keep moving up with Devin Booker and Dylan Brooks and kind of build around that. The Cavs, I was talking about the World Cup tickets. Where were you talking about the World Cup tickets? The Cavs, I mean, that would be a swap for Darius Garland. I don't love it. It don't move me personally. It don't move me personally. And the other part too is a lot of these guys that are getting traded right now have a ton of injury history. So if I'm a team looking to acquire them, I would be very skeptical if I'm being honest, especially if you already have, some solidified guys. But maybe Chicago, maybe Miami, maybe Brooklyn if he stays in the East. If he goes out west, I think Minnesota is an option. I think that does have potential. That will shift the way your team plays, right? You have a small and a big combo with Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. And now you switch that to a guard combo, which, now it makes Rudy Gobert's job that much more important. Jaden McDaniels, it makes those guys, I think, really important in that scenario. And it'll change the way that they play, but we'll see because they're also looking for Kobe White. I think Houston is a potential destination. And then after that, maybe the Clippers. Maybe the Clippers, maybe. Cavs need to get some pep in their step. Yeah, I agree. MIA may be cool, but the no star thing is working. I mean, is it? Is it? Yeah, Wolves could be cool, but it'll change their whole thing around. Right? And if you're Anthony Edwards, right? If at least for me, if I'm Anthony Edwards and I'm looking around, because let's say they have to trade Julius Randle to make it work, right? I'm looking around like, wait a second, y'all have changed the way we played 3 out of the last 3 years. What are we doing? Right? You went from Karl Anthony Towns to Julius Randle, and then if you go from Julius Randle to John Morant, that's 3 different styles of basketball. And it's really hard to find cohesion, to find consistency when there's so much turnover on the team. Now, I wanted to pull this up because I wanted to get y'all thoughts on this, man. So let me pull this up. We're gonna play this. We're gonna watch it together, and let me know what y'all think.
I think everything's about perspective. It's like, this doesn't sound cocky, but like we win just the last 3 years, we win so much. When we have like a normal human stretch of like losing a game or two that we shouldn't have lost, like the world freaks out. You know what I mean? So it's like a thing that we do internally that's a good job of like just going out there and playing. Like we're not superheroes. Like we have human moments. Like we are human. Like we get physically and mentally tired just throughout the season. And I feel like that kind of showed just in that stretch. And that's something we just get to work on and like get better with. But it's like, it's just a part of the game. Like you're gonna, like every team this year has lost a couple games that they wish they can have back. And
so what do you guys think about this, man? And I will say he did mention that this might sound cocky. So I think he was very aware of will you pop your collar before? I have no collar to pop. No collar to pop. But I'm seeing a trend. I'm trying to find it because I saw this guy that was saying people aren't tired of the Oklahoma City Thunder. That this team is becoming unbearable. This guy was saying that this team is being too cocky, that they're trying to compare themselves to the Warriors that have the record, to the Bulls. And I talked about this the other day, man. The fatigue when you see greatness is real. Like, that's a real thing. And just in the middle of last season, right? Just in the middle of last season, everyone loved this team. Everyone loved the fact that they all huddle up after games to do interviews as a team, that they look like they hang out, they look like they like each other, they play hard, they play physical, they have a number one guy who's an MVP level player who's doing stuff that we haven't seen since Michael Jordan. And fast forward to January 2026, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a foul merchant that needs fouls to get all of his points. This team is all of a sudden unbearable. They're all of a sudden too cocky. And it's just funny to me the way sports fans, and in particular NBA fans, work, because I don't see anything different from these guys. I don't see them acting different. I don't see them looking different. For a team that won a championship last season, they came into this year looking more prepared than every other team in the league. Instead of them having a championship hangover to start the season, which is typically what happens, right? It looks like they're gassed out and tired because they've been playing so hard. And they're all making mistakes, mental mistakes. And to Jalen Williams' point, they're all of a sudden under a microscope, and now everything that they do is being chastised. Before Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had won anything, it was all good, right? And now that he's won stuff, now that his sneaker sells out every time it drops, he's all of a sudden not likable. And it's just crazy to me the way fans the way fans work, man. It's really, really wild. What he said happens almost every season. Facts. And people don't understand winners or know what it takes. That's why they call him arrogant and don't respect Tatum. Mind you, they giving Wemby the keys in every conversation without doing a fucking thing. Listen, man, that's what happens. That's what happens. Right? There's winning does a lot, and I think it's kind of changed over time. You know, now when you win it, you know, some of these, and it really comes from the fans, it just, now when you've gotten so good, they have to nitpick. Oh, now they foul everywhere, now they foul every time, and all of these narratives start to come up when they've been playing the same way. The defense that they're playing today is the same defense they were playing last season. That's why when last season started and I was watching this team, I said the era of physical basketball is coming back because of them. It was because of the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've been doing this for the last 2 years at least. And all of a sudden it's an issue. It's just funny. The calls they get can be frustrating, but they are a fantastic team and are coming off a championship. Who gives a fuck if they kind of cocky? They know what they're capable of as a group. And I've explained this so many times to Eli, right? When we were doing the watch party for Girard High School with Derpy, just before New Year's, he was getting so frustrated watching the game. Because the other team kept getting these foul calls, right? And his team wasn't getting foul calls. And I said, well, shit, the 3 times that you drive as a team that's predominantly jump shooting, you want all 3 of those calls. And the other team, who is constantly attacking the basket, Those guys who have driven 30 times and they've gotten 7 out of those 30 calls, you're complaining about the 7 calls that they got. Not the 23 that they didn't, because they are frequenting the paint. They are being physical with the other team. No one ever sees it that way. Are there bogus calls that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets? Abso-fucking-lutely. Does he drive damn near more than everyone? Yeah, he does. It's a very simple concept. The more you drive and look for contact, the more likely you are to get calls, even when it's not there. You get rewarded for that. And the shooters want to stay outside and shoot, and the 1 or 2 times that they drive and get fouled, they want to get that call. And the refs are looking at them like, motherfucker, this is the first time you drove. The only exception to this is Steph Curry. He's literally the only exception to this. But everyone else wants to shoot everything. The 2-3 times they drive want to get a call compared to the guy that's driven 25 times the last 5 minutes. It's just the reality of the situation. Shump explained it well. If I find the clip, I will share. Bet. Oh my God, I didn't even realize we were up to hour 20 already. Yeah, I didn't even realize. Wait, where is this? Wait, do I have another tab open? No, it's not this. OKC gets or doesn't get calls because Pat Bev only having intensity on defense will get calls, but if all 5 guys and you can't call that many times, and this is what OKC does. Yeah, no, that's literally what it is. I think I know what you're talking about. Like they set a precedent, right? Is what happens. They set a new precedent. Is essentially what happens, and I totally get it, man. I totally get it. You got a few questions, save them for another day. No, you can fire them. You can fire them. You can fire him while we change the vibe a little bit. Let's take a look at this because I thought this was funny.
Have had our experiences. It was a period in time where Carlisle was really trying to push to get me to the Mavericks, and to speak on those quirky ways. Rick Carlisle would send me weird selfies and stuff, and just say, I'm thinking about you, and I really
Excuse me?
want to, coach you and things of that nature. So it was a little weird. I don't know Carlisle.
No. We don't just go through that one. Go ahead, Lou.
Rewind that. What happened now?
Hey, man, hear what I'm saying. I don't know Carlisle that well, but
what kind of selfies? What was the background? What was the vibe? What's going on?
It was basically, I don't know what his.
Because I be sending people selfies. There's a message.
Hey, like I said, I'm speaking on what Lou said.
Yo,
I ain't never seen
you
my.
can't be saying that, Michelle Beadle.
It's a selfie. Anybody got a selfie out of me? I like them.
Right. Like you said, his quirky ways, I don't know him that well, but I do know he was very interested in me joining Dallas at some point. He told me time and time again that, he would love the opportunity to coach me. As far as the selfies, I don't know what that shit was.
How did you respond? Was he in a gym?
You
hey,
said
buddy,
did I respond? I actually didn't. I left him on red because I don't know how to respond to that. But
a heart, just a heart
as far as his legacy as a coach, obviously he's well respected in this league. He's a championship coach.
All right, man. All right. We gotta cut that shit off. That's actually a valid point, Jay. I appreciate that. If you traded Draymond, who would you trade him for? This is the first time I can't find a good one. There isn't a good trade for Draymond. There isn't a good trade for Draymond because what Draymond does on the basketball floor, it's hard to quantify because his value doesn't come in his stats, right? So if you're the Warriors, you're gonna want to get value out of him, and if you're the other team, I mean, it's a negotiation, right? You're gonna use his numbers against him, right? Even though if you want to acquire him, you know the value that he could potentially add to your team defensively, leadership, as an enforcer, but you're gonna try to use his stats against him because you're gonna end up having to give players up that are 100% producing more statistically than Draymond Green. So there isn't going to be a good trade for him. I think that's probably one of the hardest trades that you can make in this league, man. I'm not gonna lie. If the whole league switched to being left-handed, who would be much better now or past? Matter of fact, wait, what do you mean? Wouldn't the left-handed players just be the best players ever? If the whole league switched to being left-handed, then wouldn't the actual left-handed players be killing? James Harden would be Michael Jordan. There was a season that they thought he damn near was, but I love Boogie. This make him look bad. You mean to tell me you could have gone on Mavs with the coach Carlisle and decided to stay in Sacramento? Wait, hold on though. I gotta ask the question. Though. If a text, yeah, I need to know what the fuck he mean by that. Wait, hold on, guys. Let's just look at this from Boogie perspective, right? If a coach is texting you selfies and says, "I want to coach you," how would you respond? And he didn't even get into. And Rick Carlisle older. Rick Carlisle not doing a selfie like this. You know Rick Carlisle doing one of these from up top. You know he doing one of these on some weird ass angle. He might have been in a beater when he was wearing. He sent him. I don't know what he was doing. I'm not gonna lie. You could call me faded. I might not have responded neither. or I might have asked, "What the fuck do you mean by that?" But if you could switch any player left-handed, who would be way better? That's a better. Wait, okay, so question, Elijah. Would Kobe still be Kobe? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, would everything just switch left-handed? Because then everything would stay the same. Or they have to, like, they're forced to be left-handed. Like, they're right-handed players and now they got to learn how to be left-handed. Because if that's the case, I would send this selfie back. Hey, hey, honestly, man, the way you was talking about Kevin Durant the other day, I can see that. I can see that. Who's ambidextrous? I'd probably start off with that. Who's ambidextrous? But realistically, I'd probably say Kobe. I mean, I like Kobe and Larry. I seen Larry Bird. I don't know, y'all. I've seen Larry Bird go up to shoot right, switch that bitch left, and shoot it. Right. We've seen Kobe go left-handed for like a quarter. So if they all had to switch, my money would be on Kobe. My money would be on Kobe. Yeah, my money would be on Kobe. It would end up. Kyrie is a good answer too. But Kyrie, right? Whether you're like playing defense don't change. You know, he don't get any taller, right? I don't know about Allen Iverson. I will say this: whoever trains like a motherfucker, whoever trains like a motherfucker, and cares like that would be all right, right? Because in my opinion, and I've said this before, what makes players great goes beyond the actual skill of the game, right? The want and the drive to practice, train, learn, whatever the case it is. So those guys, that's what makes them different. And if they were forced to, and this was the only way that they can go and play basketball, whoever you think would actually train would be the best ones, because going left-handed fully would be very, very difficult. So that's why Kobe is at the top of that list for me. Kyrie don't matter in my opinion because he's already is left-handed, and right hand is just as good. Oh, actually, Jalen Brunson. This was actually, this is easy. Just Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson. This one's easy, actually. AI relied heavily on his right to finish. Him being left-handed would have made him even more crafty. I think that makes it harder because now you rely too much on it. But I think it would actually be Jalen Brunson because Jalen Brunson's right-handed. Jalen Brunson's right-handed, and his dad, well, Jalen Brunson shoots lefty, but what I'm saying is Jalen Brunson is JB a good pull. No. You're not understanding what I'm saying, Elijah. Jalen Brunson's plays. He shoots with his left. He does floaters with his left. What I'm saying is he's told this story before, and let me see if I can find it really quickly. But Jalen Brunson said he's right-handed. And his dad trained him to be left-handed. Let me see. Yeah, but I gotta put my fellow Nick in there for show. Let me see if it's in here.
It's not fast enough. No follow through, not fast enough. Tired is for the weak. Mentally strong. Go. Keep your head up.
Yeah, so he pushed me. He always wanted to see how far I can take my limits. Every day before and after workouts, he would say,
okay, I was gonna say,
is this what you want to do for a living?
Jog back. Left to right. It's not hard enough.
I'm trying to see if
Whether
it's
I
in
was
here.
crying,
I
whether
swear
I was
I've heard
happy,
that
whether I
story
was
before.
pissed off at him, whatever. the
LeBron and
answer was always
RJ
yes.
Barrett like that too, yeah.
It's not fast enough.
Let me find. He's talked about this before, bro. I swear to God. I swear I'm not making this up. Wait, actually, real quick. I mean, Jalen Brunson is probably gonna end up being one of the best players ever. But he's got to be one of the best left-handed players ever, huh? There's not gonna be many players ahead of him on that list by the time everything's said and done. If I was a left-handed ball player, I would have cleared $1 million by now. I mean, it is difficult, man. It really is difficult. You know, anyone that's played, it takes a bit of an adjustment because everyone is right-handed, right? So it does something to your brain to go against a left-handed player, especially if it's someone that you don't go against all the time. So when it pops up, it's definitely something. But I think that's actually gonna do it for me today, man. We covered everything. We covered all bases. We covered all topics today, man. Games were there were some cool endings to last night's games, but they weren't really the best teams. But hey, man, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Elijah, you are the GOAT. Eli, you are the GOAT. RC, I appreciate you always coming in here showing love. I know Bruce was in here earlier. Adam Silver was in here. I think I covered everybody. That's so sweet. They get 2 free throws. Is Emmanuel has the right or left-handed? I don't think it matters. It's an asshole, bro. But thank you guys, man. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you have not done so. Thank you guys so much. Y'all have a great weekend, man. Have a beautiful weekend. Turn up. Go have some fun. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all back here on Monday. Y'all have a great one. Y'all could have been anywhere on the internet, but y'all were here with me, and I appreciate you so much for that. So thank you. I'll see y'all back here on Monday. Y'all have a good weekend. Peace.